All right, 2021 is here, 2020 is behind us, and now suddenly everything is magically better, right? Well, maybe not. But we're not here to talk about depressing stuff today. Bouncing off the back of my last video last week, which was the top 20 keyboards that I reviewed in 2020. Well, today we're going a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more variety, and we're just gonna focus on some cool stuff that I bought in 2020. I just bought some cool stuff that is a little bit interesting to talk about. Some of you guys might be interested in some of it. A lot of it does fall in the ballpark of what I normally cover on this channel. If you are interested in any of the products that I'm going to be featuring today, I'm going to link them in the description below. And we're going to start off with two products that you might be a little familiar with, at least if you've been watching this channel for at least the past few months. Then you have already been fairly acquainted with what I'm about to talk about, and you didn't even know it. And that is this right here. This is the Rode PodMic. It's a dynamic XLR microphone. It's supposed to be great for podcasting. That's why it's called the PodMic. A lot of people might use it for streaming. I like to use it for my videos lately since my wife's working from home. She's just right over there. There's noise sometimes a lot in the house. When I used to use my Blue Yeti for everything, if anybody started making noise, I had to stop and wait for silence. And when everybody's home at all hours, there is no room or time for silence. So that's why I'm really glad that I picked up a dynamic microphone. And for $100, the Rode PodMic is amazing. It sounds really good. A lot of people compare it to the $400 Shure SM7B. And I've never used that microphone. Obviously, it's $400, but this is a great mic, and it sounds good. It sounds clean. And through some post-processing and editing that I do, a new workflow that I've picked up since I've got this microphone, I feel like I'm able to get some pretty decent sound. Would you say so? I mean, you're listening to it right now. You've been listening to this mic for the past couple months if you've been watching the channel. So what do you think? Now, I did say this was two products because I wouldn't be able to use this if not for what it is connected to, which is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 Gen 3. It's an audio interface from Focusrite, obviously. The Focusrite Scarlett interfaces have been popular for a number of years. When I've previously considered buying an interface in the past, Focusrite just always popped up. Ironically, Focusrite was not my first choice. It was just what was in stock at the time, and I was impatient. I don't have any regrets buying it. There have been no issues with it. It's great. It lives up to the Focusrite name. There are just some other interfaces that are kind of cooler, or they had just some extra features that this one does not, that I wanted, but they were not in stock, and I wanted to just grab it and go. Now, I should mention that because of the pandemic and everything, at least the last time I checked when I purchased these months back, they were really hard to come by. In fact, I think it took me a few weeks, if not maybe a month or more, to finally nab a Rode PodMic. I had one on back order from Guitar Center that I canceled. I had one on back order from Sweetwater that I canceled, until I finally landed on this one, and I got it from Best Buy of all places. No regrets. I really like this microphone, and it has definitely helped me to continue pumping out these videos even in the midst of everybody being home. Up next is another two products that I'm totally able to use on their own, but I do use them in tandem in a way, and that is two different mice. So my daily driver, my main mouse for over a year, has been the Logitech MX Master, and it started to, act up a little bit, and I also just, for some reason, I don't know if it got my gamer gunk all over it, but it was really sticky, and I could not get it clean. It just had a weird stickiness just from oils and sweat and what have you, and it just felt gross. And so, I wanted to upgrade, and so now we have the Logitech MX Master 3. This is the gray version. It is the newest version of the MX Master mice, and I've really been enjoying using it. It charges with USB-C, which is a nice upgrade from the previous generation. A common complaint with the previous generations of MX Master are that the back and forward browser buttons are actually on top and bottom of each other instead of side to side like they would be on any other mouse. I never saw it as a huge problem. I was able to get used to it very easily, and it just felt natural. But with this one, they are back in their normal position where they should be compared to any other mouse. You've still got the scroll wheel on the side, which I barely ever used on my previous one, but I think with the 3, I am going to try to find more ways of implementing use into it. I've been trying to use it more and more when I'm editing, for example. It also has a magnetic scroll wheel with infinite scroll. If you've ever used the Logitech, that really popular mouse that they have, the name escapes me. It's probably just some numbers. This one right here on the screen. If you've ever used that, it has an infinite scrolling capability. The previous MX Master mice also have infinite scrolling capabilities, but I really like the way this one works, because it has a magnetic scroll wheel that works a little bit differently than the previous ones, where it is able to go off of how fast or how hard you flick the scroll wheel, and it will toggle between a regular scroll or the infinite scroll without you having to press the button. The original MX Master that I used before had something like that, but I never used it that way because it felt weird, it felt off. There was just something weird about it I never liked. So if I ever wanted to toggle between normal scroll and infinite scroll, I would just press the toggle button. With this, I've barely touched it and it works really well. I really like the way it just is able to tell how fast you want to scroll just from your pressure. It is also able to swap seamlessly between up to 3 devices, even multiple computers, even between Windows and Mac. Sounds really cool. I haven't tested it. I have one computer. I don't have a Mac. A couple things I didn't like about it originally that I've been sort of just taking my time to get used to are the shape and the placement of the thumb button. If you don't know, the MX Master series has a little hidden button in the little thumb rest that you're able to press on for additional commands, as well as hold and then swipe the mouse up, down, left, or right for various gesture commands. With the original, it felt like I could just put my thumb down where it naturally laid and it worked. With this, the button is actually just like on the edge of the thumb rest and it feels a little bit awkward. It feels like I have to reach a little bit more in order to hit it. It took a little while to get used to, but I got used to it and it works fine now. Still, it just doesn't feel like it quite as contoured for my hand as the original did, which is a little disappointing, but it still works fine and my wrists do not hurt from using it. Now again, while this is a great mouse, it is great for productivity and web browsing, which is what I use it for. I would not recommend any of the Logitech MX mice for gaming. I use this mouse in tandem with the Logitech G Pro Wireless. This is not the super light, the new version. This is the classic, the old boy. I picked this up for 20 bucks, which is incredible. You're probably like, how? It used to be $150. Now it's $130. I actually bought this a few months before the super light was announced. And now that I saw the super light with the white version and it looks beautiful, and I'm just like, why? Logitech. That all aside, with the help of a Staples gift card and a random promo code I found online, I managed to snag this bad boy from Staples for 20 bucks. So with that, even with the super light, even with the white version, I have absolutely no regrets because it was only 20 bucks and this is one of the best mice that you can buy when it comes to wireless mice. Even though it's not super light at about 80 grams, it still feels really light and I really like using it. The shape takes a little bit of getting used to. It's a little bit too round, a little bit too perfect and symmetrical. It doesn't really have like the hugs and the contours that I typically prefer in the middle. I more so prefer the grip style of like a Glorious Model O or the Razer Viper. For 20 bucks, I still main it, I still love using it, and I absolutely do recommend picking up one of these if you're willing to spend the money. When I picked it up, I did plan to do a full-on review of this mouse one day when I have the time for a, just my own full-on review of a product that wasn't sent to me by another company. So if you guys are interested in seeing a review of the Logitech G Pro Wireless in 2021, let me know in the comments. All right, up next, this little bad boy, this little soft, currently kind of dusty boy. And that is my new Pixel 4a. This is not to be confused with the 4a 5G. This is just a regular Pixel 4a that we picked up a few months ago. This thing actually retails for $349. That's amazing. For that price, this is a powerhouse of a phone. Now, it does have its problems. It has some bugs, it has some lag because it's not the most powerful phone, especially in the US compared to some other similarly priced phones. It's not as powerful, for example, as maybe like the OnePlus Nord or a couple other phones, but I think those also cost a little bit more, and you can't really get them in the US without importing them from somewhere or buying them on like eBay or something. This I just picked up from Best Buy, and it's a great little phone. It's got a pretty decent camera. The software on the camera really helps it to make the pictures pop out versus what the camera would be capable of without the built-in software. It runs Android 11. It's pretty sleek and small. It's got a plastic body, but it doesn't feel cheap. It feels really nice in the hand. I do still keep a case on it just in case, and sometimes it feels a little too slim without the case, but then when I hold the case, it feels like it's huge and bulky. One of the reasons I switched over to this phone from my iPhone 11 is because the iPhone 11 is just a little too big. I don't own my iPhone 11, it's a lease, so I wanted to just have something that I own but not pay a lot of money for it. And so we went with this. I do highly recommend it if you're in the realm of looking for a budget phone. I know there are tons of options out there. I'm just saying if you want something that's a little bit newer, it's not going to support 5G, but it's a decent medium, smallish size, and it's sleek. It comes in just the one color, although I think Google, since we bought this one, has released a sky blue color, which I would have preferred. Thanks, Google, for waiting on that. But I really like this phone. Again, it does have some issues, but considering that I don't use my phone as much as I would have before I had a computer and before I was stuck in the house, I really don't have any problems with this phone at all, and I can see myself using it for a long time. Next on the list is video games. Yeah, I mean, I still play video games, obviously. This is technically a gaming channel. I did rebrand a couple years ago to Portly, but it is still the Portly Gamer. I know, crazy, because I think I've done like 1 or 2 game videos this year. Sorry. So I bought a lot of games this year, and I'm not going to go into all of them, but just video games. A lot of video games. That sounds like a lot of money. It sounds crazy, but as always, as you probably maybe have seen in like my video game bargain pickup videos, I always wait for sales. I always keep an eye on sales, and if something seems like a decent price, I'll jump on that. But just in the past couple months alone, between Christmas and Black Friday, I picked up games like Yakuza Like a Dragon, 13 Sentinels, which I'm currently playing and highly recommend if you're into JRPGs. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 I picked up for like 20 bucks. Sakura Wars, Resident Evil 2, Atelier Ryza, which I'm actually really enjoying. It's my first Atelier game, and Judgment, which I feel like not a lot of people talked about this game when it came out. It's in the Yakuza universe. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm excited to play it. Picked that up for like 15 bucks. Every game you see here, I picked up at like a very high discount. You know, like I always say, just when it comes to games, wait for sales. Even if it's new, especially if it comes out around the holidays. There have been so many new games that came out like just in the couple months before Black Friday, and then they went on sale for half off or more. Wait for sales, folks. Don't buy your games full price. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, we have this big old bad chunky boy, and this is the glorious GMMK Compact. It's the bare bones edition. I actually picked it up on Black Friday as well. If you guys follow Glorious, you may have seen on Black Friday they had like 1,000 of these bundles where you would pick up one of their GMMK bare bones keyboards, and then however many boxes you would need of Glorious Panda switches and wrist rest, all included in a big old bundle. And I was one of the lucky few. I managed to nab one of those 1,000 bundles, so I got the bare bones kit, 2 boxes of Glorious Panda switches, and a Glorious wrist rest. I'm planning to cover the keyboard in full detail in a future video. It's definitely a great keyboard. It's my favorite keyboard that I own, especially because it's one that I purchased. It's one that I've sort of put a little bit of customization into. I really like this keyboard, and I really like the Glorious Panda switches. For somebody who's so into linear switches, I didn't expect to really enjoy some super tactile switches like I do with these. It has some issues, it has some things that I'm getting used to, but again, I'm going to go further into detail in that in a future video. And if you're looking forward to that video or any other videos that I have coming up, if you like this video, definitely check out a couple others, consider subscribing, leave a like, and comment. Seriously, liking, commenting, sharing the videos, it's all free and it all helps the channel grow. It shows YouTube, hey, people like this guy. We should promote this guy. I want to be that guy, and I want you to be the guys who support this guy. The pieces were all there. I felt like that kind of made sense. All right, I'm out of here. If you like this video, you can check out this one here, and you can check out that one there, and you can click here to subscribe. I'm out.